What is going on YouTube? My name is Yugioh099 and as you can see I'm going to be bringing you my adamancipator fossil style deck. This is one of my fun decks. It's no way meant to be competitive, meta, anything like that. I know adamancipators they had really good things when Block Dragon was around, but this is just one of my favourite decks to run. It is no way meant to be competitive, meta or anything. It's just a really fun deck that I like to run. So without further ado then, let's get on with the deck profile. So first things first then, we've got 3 copies of course of Adamancipator Analyzer, sorry about that. This is one of the main combo deck starters in your deck. Of course, when your opponent controls a monster, if only your opponent, controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you activate top 5 cards and special summon the rock. That's not a tuner. Also place on the bottom the rest of them in any order that you want. Sorry about that, I was coughing. So yeah, a lot of people know what Adamancipators do. I'm not going to go into them that much, but yeah, Adamancipator Analyzer, you special summon it if you go second, activate top 5, special summon, and you go into some of your extra deck. Everyone knows what to do, so that's why I'm not going to go into too much about why they're in there. Next up, we've got 3 copies of Adamancipator Seeker, the other tuner for this deck. Seeker again is like Analyzer, but if you control it, an Adamancipator, you can just special summon this, and then again activate the top 5 cards, pick a level 4 or lower rock, that's not a tuner, and special summon it. Put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. I don't run Researcher in this deck, so they're the only Adamancipator tuners that go into my combos and stuff. Next up then, I run 2 copies of Weathering Soldier. The only reason I run 2 is because there's a lot of ways in this deck to get it to the grave by card effect. It's how you want to do it. When it's sent to the grave, you can add either a Fossil Fusion or one card that specifically lists Fossil Fusion and add it to your hand. You can only use it effect once per turn. And then during the end phase, if it is on the field, I believe it loses 600 attack. But you don't really want to summon Weathering Soldier, you want to get it to the grave by card effect. So that's why I run only 2, because I only use it to add, of course, the fusion or something else. So a card you can do that by is with this, is the 2 copies of Doki Doki. A lot of people know why you run Doki Doki in this deck, is you summon it, you discard a rock type monster from your hand, and you special summon from your deck 1 rock monster with the same original attribute and level, as the one you sent. I mainly use it to ditch one of the Adamancipator crystals. Excuse me. And then special summon the Adamancipator Researcher, or send himself, you get to add your Seeker. So that's why I run only 2 copies of Doki Doki. So next up then, I run 2 copies of Adamancipator Crystal Dragite. Really good card for this, because if it's special summoned by the effect of an Adamancipator, so your Seeker or Analyzer, if you do run Researcher as well, you get to draw a card. That's the only reason I actually use it, is use Adamancipator Analyzer, bring out this, get to draw a card, go straight into your synchro plays or any other way. So that's why I run only 2 copies. For the next 2 crystals, I only run 1 copy of Leonite and 1 copy of Raptite. Really, they're alright cards. If Leonite is special summoned by the effect, you get to place an Adamancipator card from your hand or graveyard on top of your deck. So yeah, it's really good for the graveyard play, because you can add back your spells and that lot that you used to early on in the door. And then Raptite as well is when this guy is special summoned by the effect of an Adamancipator monster, you can place 1 rock monster from your hand or graveyard on top of your deck. So basically the same. They're basically the same, if you want to say that. I'm pretty sure they are. So yeah, Leonite, place 1 Adamancipator card and place 1 rock. So yeah, you can use... I use the Raptite to put back my Weathering Soldiers. So that's it really, mainly for the cards. I've run 2 copies of the Quackimiru or Quackimiru Guardian. It's damn cold, just won't go away. Really, really good card. During each end phase, you have to destroy this card or reveal a Iron Core, I believe. Yeah, Iron Core of Quackimiru or a rock to your hand to your opponent. So you just reveal a rock with this deck. When an effect monster is activated, quick effect, you contribute this, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. So it's not really bad. A lot of people know what it does because they've seen the Adamancipator decks and why Guardian is used in this. A lot of people run more, but I just don't. The one-offs, this is only one-off for me. It's just the Nibiru, the Primal Being. A lot of people have told me that I should be running 2 or 3. I just don't. Okay, it's how I am. I'm not full-on meta. I like fun, casual decks. I like to go to my local tournaments, and that's why I only run 1. The only reason I run 1 copy of Nibiru in this deck is because one of the extra monsters, I'll go on a bit later, lets you add it to your hand. You probably know what it is. But yeah, it adds it to your hand, and you want to kind of do that first turn to stop. So your opponent knows you've got a Nibiru. They ain't going to be special summoning more than 5 times in seconds. So we want 2 copies of the Quacky Overlord. Really, really good card, I think. Again, during the end phase, reveal a rock, because you don't run Iron Core in this deck. And then when your opponent would summon a monster, so normal or special summon, you tribute it and negate the summon. It's the only reason I use him. If I can get him out as a level 4, you know, I can use him with Analyzer or Seeker, go into my Synchro plays, blah, blah, blah. So the next card then I run is Quacky Supplier. If a face-up rock monster you control is sent to the grave, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. That is the only reason I actually use this card. Because if this card is special summoned, you can add to your deck 1 Quacky or 1 card that specifically lists Quacky in the text, except itself. So what you do with me, I special summon it, I add either Overlord or Guardian. It's very simple. So next up then, I run 1 copy of Gamma-Seal the Sea Turtle. It's more just in there, just in case I do need to use him. A lot of people said I should be running more. As I said, this is just my personal deck. It's just fun. But I like Gamma-Seal. It's known as the best kaiju only because it's got the weakest attack. But with this deck, it doesn't matter if you don't have Gamma-Seal and you do want to run him because of one of the Synchros, you can bounce back. I'll go on with that, but that's why he's in there. So I also run 1 copy of Fossil Diner. I'm not going to attempt to say his last name, the last part of his name. Fossil Diner Pachiphilia, whatever. It's Fossil Diner. The reason I run Fossil Diner is that is the end board I want. Is basically, if I can go into if you go a second, your opponent sets up the graveyard, blah blah blah, whatever you want to do. You want to try and get Diner out last. Like even if your opponent's special summons a monster, goes into all the plays, you do all your plays, you bounce back, you want to end in Diner because then it stops your opponent from special summoning. It stops both of you, but if you've set up your board, as I have done before with this deck, Fossil Diner is the end board really for me, and that's why I only run 1. So next up then, I run 2 copies of the Mathematician. The only reason I run Mathematician is 1, when it is, I believe it's when it's destroyed by battle. Yeah, when it's destroyed by battle, you get to draw a card. But when it's normal summoned, you can send a card, a level 4 or lower monster from your deck to the grave. You send your Weathering Soldiers. You send Weathering Soldiers to the grave, you add your Fossil Fusion, or if you've already got Fossil, you add some of the other ones. It's the only reason I run them. And next up then, for the last of the monsters for this deck profile, I run 2 copies of the Barrier Statue of the Drought. Now, the only reason I run this card is, again, neither player can special monsters except Earth. So it doesn't stop you because they're all Earth. But you can also bring it out with stuff like, you adamancipators by special summoning him. If you get Analyzer and Seeker on the field at the same time, use both their effects, you get a level 4. You can make a Synchro, use it again, you get him. Don't get rid of him. It stops your opponent from special summoning. And that's why I run 2 copies of him, just because it's a nice, easy summon. So with that then, that is the monster side of this. So we're going on to the spells, and of course, the 3 I run off is 3 copies of Fossil Fusion. We have been waiting so long for this card to come out, and finally we got it. Fossil Fusion, I think, is one of the best fusion cards in the game if you're running Adamancipators. Even if you don't. If you run Adamancipators and you don't really like the fossils, I'd still say run 1, because there's so many good extra deck monsters to go with it. But you can banish monsters from your graveyard or your opponent's, I believe. Yep, you fusion summon from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed in any graveyards. So what you do is you banish a rock monster, and then some of them require level 4, level, 4 or lower, 5 or 6, 7 or higher. Your opponent's probably going to have something in the graveyard they want, a level 7, level 8, whatever. You can use that to your advantage with this card. And that's why I run 3 copies. That's why I only run 2 copies of Weathering Soldier, just to get it to my hand. Because it is such a good card. It banishes a card from your opponent's graveyard. As someone will know, you probably won't mind me saying this, but a very dear friend of mine by Yugioh, he's also another YouTuber, make sure you check him out, really, really good. He runs zombies. He got Doom King into the graveyard, was thinking, it's okay, I'll bring him back. I managed to get him back into the graveyard and then banished him with this card. He wasn't happy. And you cannot deny it, Yugioh. If you watch this video, you cannot deny you was not happy when I first did it to you. So then that's why I run 3. So 1 copy of Time Seal. The only reason I run 1 copy is if I need it. Thinking about adding a second one, but I'm not 100% sure because I like the deck as it is. But I run 1 copy of Time Seal. Now what this card does, if you don't know, most people do, it's been around for quite a while now, is you target a fossil fusion monster you control, tribute to it, and then you can special summon 1 fossil from your extra deck whose level is 2 higher than. So if you get rid of the level 4, you create level 6, level 6, level 8. Very, very simple. That's really the only reason I actually use it. You know, there's another part of its effect, as well as during your main phase, except to turn this card into its graveyard, you can banish this card and add 1 fossil fusion monster from your graveyard. Wait, what? Oh, you can banish this card and 1 fossil fusion monster from your graveyard, sorry. Then target 1 fossil fusion monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it is a good effect. I just personally use the fossils to try and create... basically, my strategy for this is summon out the big synchros, the big fusions, pummel my opponent to death. That's it. So that's why I run only 1 copy of Time Seal. Next up then, I run 1 copy of the Miracle Rupture. Again, I should really be running 2, but I don't know. As I said, I'm unsure exactly if I want to run 2. But Miracle Rupture, if you don't know, probably do, is you can send 1 level 4 lower rock monster from your deck to your grave. You send your Weathering Soldier's effect activates, and then you get to add your blah, blah, blah. Then if Fossil Fusion was in your graveyard, you can draw a card as well. So you use Fossil Fusion, keep Miracle Rupture, send your Weathering Soldier, add another one, blah, 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 combo. You know, that's why I run only 1, just in case. Plus also you can add it with Weathering Soldier, same with Time Seal if you need to. So next up then, obviously 1 copy of Monster Reborn. It's an obvious one-off. I'm not going to go into Monster Reborn. It's very, very... People know why you run Monster Reborn. So the other cards then that aren't really the adamancipator and stuff is... I run 1 copy of Magnet Reverse. Because of what it does, it's the only reason I play it is you can target one of your machine or rock monsters that is banished or is in the graveyard that cannot be normal summoned or special, and you special summon them, sorry. Normal summoned or set, I was going to say, and then you special summon. You're going to be doing that quite a lot because stuff like your fossil fusions and your synchros, if they go to the grave, Magnet Reverse can special summon them back. That's the only reason why I run 1. So next up then, for the sort of fossil style of this deck, I run 2 copies of Specimen Inspection. I actually meant to move that further on into the deck profile, but I must not have done. I run this card because you can reveal 1 fossil fusion from your hand, and then you can send 1 monster, I believe, send 1 monster from your hand to the grave, and if you do, declare a type and level, then your opponent looks at their hand and deck and sends 1 monster as a declared type and level to the grave. So what you do is you reveal Fossil Fusion if you have one. You can send your Weathering Soldier's effect activates. You can add Miracle Rupture. But the reason, again, he's probably going to be really upset with me the fact I said this. I like using this card on Yugioh if he's using zombies because I know of his Doom King. Of course, Doom King, Barbarock, whatever his name is, he's a level 8 zombie, so I know to target that card because that is one of the best cards in the deck. To be honest, or like a level 4 zombie to get rid of his Mizukis and stuff like that. Sorry, Yugioh, if you do watch this, I apologise for picking you out as a target. It's just easier because I know your deck. So the one of for the adamancipator cards, then I want one copy of adamancipator signs. It's basically your monster reborn. It's the best way, really. You can target a rock monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense. Then, if you special summon an adamancipator by this effect, you can take one level 4 lower rock monster from your deck and place it on top of your deck. So you use signs to bring out Researcher, then you put on like Weathering Soldier or your Barrier Statue if you've already got a board set. Use its effect, you go into it, ta-da. That's why I run only one. We've got one copy of the Adamancipator Friends. A friend of mine actually did get me the Japanese one before this card came out, so thank you very much for that if you do watch this video. It wasn't Yugioh, but yeah, I run one copy of Friends. It's quite a good card, I love the artwork to it, but you activate the top card of your deck equal to the number of rock monsters you control plus 5. So if you control 5, you activate 10. And then what you can do is you can add to your hand one activated rock monster with a level equal to or lower than the number of activated cards. Also place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. For the rest of the turn after this card resolved, you cannot special summon monsters except rock. It's a rock type deck. You're not really going to have any cards that aren't rock. But yeah, Adamancipator Friends. That's why I run only one of. It's actually really good. So next up then, I run one copy of the Adamancipator Laptite. Yugioh, I believe that's how you say its name. It's a field spell from all rock monsters gain 500 attack. It's a rock type deck. And once per turn during your main phase, you can take top 5. You can take 5 Adamancipator cards and place them in your deck in any order. On top of your deck in any order. Yeah, it's good, but it's not a must. I only run it really to get the Adamancipators, but like I said, this deck, as I run it, it's just all fun. It's fun to see what you can pull with the cards you actually draw. By having more than 2 or 3 of the cards, you're basically doing the same combos over and over again. So the last card then for the spells is one copy of Upstart Goblin. You draw a card, your opponent gains 1,000 life points. There you go. It's good because it's draw spot. So for the traps then, there's not actually that many to go on about, but it's mainly Adamancipator. 2 copy of Adamancipator Resonance. When a monster's effect is activated, where you control an Adamancipator Synchro monster, negate the activation and destroy it. Okay, that's really good because you're stopping your opponent playing the monster effect. That's probably going to create combos. We've got 2 copies of Adamancipator Relief. Again, tribute any number of Adamancipator monsters. Then target cards on the field equal to a number +1, I believe. Can't quite see. Yeah, +1. Destroy them. So you tribute 1, you destroy 2. Tribute 2, you destroy 3. So really good, actually, for destruction. But that's it for the Adamancipators. Traps, the one of is Solemn Judgment. Just in case, because you've got a lot of negates in this deck. Surprisingly. With some of the synchros and some of the traps and stuff. So only one copy of Solemn Judgment. Everyone knows what it does. And then one copy of Witch's Strike. I should really run this more. I really should. It's same as the other cards. I should really run more than one. Because when your opponent negates the normal or special summon of a monster or the activation of a card or effect, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls and in their hand. Now, a lot of people are going to negate. You've got stuff like Bowlord, Savage Dragon, Solemns. There's so many different ways to negate opponent's summon or activation of a card effect. So Witcher's Strike is good. It should have been a counter. I'm sorry, but that's the only downside I've got with this card. It should have been a counter trap. So that is then for the main deck. So for the extra deck then, we're starting off with 2 copies of the Adamancipator Arisen Dragite. The main synchro card I go in, mainly the main card I go into for the Adamancipator side is this. A lot of people know what it does because Adamancipator has been around quite a while. But during your main phase, you can activate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can return cards your opponent controls to the hand equal to a number of activated rock monsters. Also place the activated in the bottom of your deck, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I was on about earlier. is there's many different ways. If your opponent has like 3 or 4 monsters and one card set down thinking, yeah, I'm going to do this, you go bang, 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 you create this card, you can return them, then if you can bring back stuff, blah, blah, you can go into your barrier statue, you stop your opponent from special summoning. That's because he's returned everything and your opponent's going to basically set. I've done it quite a lot. But yeah, not only that as well, but if you have a water type monster in the grave and your opponent activates I believe it's spell or trap, 2 seconds? Yeah. When your opponent activates a spell or trap or effect, I don't know why my camera's doing that. While there's a water monster in the graveyard, you can negate the activation. This card is really good with this deck. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it isn't. Adamancipator Risen Dragite is probably the main deck's boss monster for this deck. But it's that second part I just want to go into quickly, is when you control a water type monster. This card is going to be really, really helpful in the Ice Barrier structure deck we get next month. I know I keep going on about it because I'm really excited about it. But because you're going to have water monsters in your grave with Ice Barriers. And level 8 is not hard. Some of the new support we get is going to be brilliant. So that's why I think he's going to be seeing quite a bit more play in the Adamancipator, in the Ice Barriers as well, just for that second effect. So that's why I run 2 copies of him to bounce stuff back and stuff. So we've got 1 copy of Adamancipator Risen Ratite, the wind one. Again, you can activate top 5 cards and you special summon 1 rock with this card. You don't bounce, but you get special summon the rock monster in defense mode, and then place a bottom. So if you get a Adamancipator or barrier statue, is the one I normally go to. It's really good. If a wind monster is in your graveyard, you can target 1 card your opponent's graveyard, banish it. So it's really good actually. It's only level 6, so Seeker or Doki Doki and Adamancipator Analyzer. It's really easy to get out of this deck, honestly. So we've got 1 copy of Adamancipator Risen Leonite. Again, you activate top 5 cards. This one, I believe you add a rock. Oh no, it's Adamancipator card, sorry. You add a Adamancipator activated cards from the 5 you activate to your hand and then place them in any order. If there's a fire monster in the graveyard, quick effect, you can target 1 rock monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So it's actually really good, but again, I only run 1 copy of it because there's a few other cards that I normally try and get onto the field first. So we've got 1 copy of Naturi Barkion. I do side deck Beast. I'm not going to go into side deck because it changes from play to play. But Naturi Barkion is one that I do keep in here because it's really, really good. Like I said, it's all earth, so you can easily summon it. And during either player's turn, when a trap card is activated, you can banish a card from your graveyard, negate the activation if you do destroy it. And this card must be face up. So if your opponent's trying to solemn something later on, as I said, you've got a lot of negate with this, but if you don't, Barkion is a good choice. Surprisingly, a lot of people have asked me why I run these cards. It's because I run 1 copy of Starlight Red Dragon Archfiend. So it becomes Red Dragon Archfiend when it's on the field. It's once per turn, you can destroy as many special summoned effect monsters on the field as possible with attack less than or equal to this card. Then inflict 500. Is it 500? 2 seconds. Yeah, inflict 500 to your opponent for each monster destroyed. I use it mainly as a backup because if you can use him and you've still got your Seeker, you then go into the next one, which is Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. Surprisingly, I really like this card. A lot of people don't, but I do. And Bane is 1 Dark Dragon Synchro monster, your Scarlet, and 1 Tuner, your Seeker. You contribute 1 monster, then target 1 Red Dragon Archfiend monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So you bring back your Scarlight that you used to create it. If this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can special summon 2 tuners with the same level, 1 from the deck and 1 from the graveyard in defense mode. You can only use it effect once per time. So you can bring back your Seekers, you can bring back your Analyzers. That's why I use him. But not only that as well, but I think the 3500 attack is really good. But I also run 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. The reason I run him is because of a combo I can do with Scarlet, Seeker and another card in my extra deck. I'll go on to it. But basically, if you can special summon it during your opponent's turn. And if you do, for the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot activate cards. Also, cards your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. He's a 4K beat stick as well. Like, he's got 4K attack. You're stopping your opponent from doing something because it's a really good healthy card. And if one card gets banned, then yes, then he will probably be leaving this deck. But I run him as sort of a backup if I need to. But I think he's really good as well. I don't really use his second effect. I mainly just bring him out. I'm not going to go into him that much. Most people know what he does. I run one copy of Formula Synchron. If this card is Synchro summoned, you get to draw a card. And then during your opponent's main phase, you can Synchro summon using this face-up card you draw a Synchro monster. Him, Seeker, and your Scarlet creates your Hot Red Dragon. That's why he's in here. Just mainly for that. Also, you get to draw a card. But the other card I go with him is, of course, the Crystal Hackle Fireback or Needle Fiber. Because when this card is link summoned, you can special summon one level 3. Is it level 3? 2 seconds. Level 3 or lower tuner monster from your hand or deck in defense mode. But it cannot activate its effects. You don't care about that. You link summon him using your tuners by using their effects. Bring him out. You get to bring out your Seeker from your deck. Wait for your opponent's turn. Use his second effect to you banish him. As a quick effect, you banish him, and then you get special summon a tuner from your grave, from your extra deck. Sorry. That's why I run Hot Red Dragon, because you go summon, effect, Seeker, opponent's turn, banish, summon. You've got your Scarlight, which is really easy to make. You're going into your Hot Red Dragon. That's why I run these. Just sort of fun. As I said, it's a fun deck, but that's why I run Hackle Firebacks, is to go into Formula Synchron, to go into Hot Red Dragon. So the last card then for the extra deck that isn't part of like the main deck sort of thing, the Fossil War, is Galactic Granite. This is the one I was on about with Nibiru. Is 2 level 4s, you detach, you get to add a rock monster from your deck to your hand. That's it. I mean, you can special summon as well, but I don't use it for that. I use it to bring Nibiru to my hand. So that's why he's in there. That's the one I was on about earlier. And then for the rest of the extra deck, I run one copy of Skullgar, the Fossil Dragon Skullgar. Takes one rock monster and one level 4 or lower monster in your opponent's grave. Using Fossil Fusion, they're probably going to have a level 4 lower monster in the grave. You get to easily summon him out. He's so easy to summon with it. Must first be special summoned by the effect of Fossil Fusion. If this card attacks a defense, you inflict piercing damage. We don't care about that. Because also, if he's in the grave, you can banish him. You can add Fossil Fusion from your deck to your hand. Another good way, use one Fossil Fusion, summon him, banish him. If you can get rid of him, banish him, create another Fossil Fusion to your hand. So the one up from him then is, of course, the Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. Really, it's really good, actually. I love the artwork to the fossils, actually. I have to admit, of course, we do get some new fossils as well soon, so I'm very excited. I will probably change my deck around when them cards come out. But for now, this is how I run it. Get over it. Fossil Warrior Skull Knight, sorry about that, must be special summoned. If it attacks the defense, it's the same as Skullgar, basically. But it can make a second attack, and you can banish it, and target one monster on the field, destroy it. So he gains 2 attacks, inflicts piercing damage, and if he's in the grave, you banish it, and you can destroy a card on the field. That's actually really good. So the other one I use, then the 2 of with Time Stream, or if you can, Fossil Dragon Skullgiosis. Skullgiosis? Whichever one you want to say. I call it Skullgiosis because I think it sounds cool. And I can't speak proper English, apparently. Fossil Dragon Skull. 1 rock monster or 1 level 7 higher monster in your opponent's grave. Like I said, with all the, if you can use something like Specimen Inspection, and you know your opponent's deck, you can just fling a card out. Why not? It's funny. Must be special summon. Before damage calc, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can switch the current attack and defense of that monster. So if they're playing defense, spin it. Attack and defense. If it's got more attack and less defense, you spin them. Until the end of the damage step. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to as well. So if they've got an attack where, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a monster that's, for an example, if they've got something like a Vanilla, it's the best one I can think of, really, where it's got like really weak attack but really high, it's 2050 defense, and it's in defense mode, you spin it, he's going to pummel it with 3-5, they're going to take 2000 2,400 points of damage. But not only that as well, but if this fusion summoned card battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage is doubled. So again, if you're using something like, I don't know, you're facing down, quickly just looking through the deck, I don't know, there we go, if you're running adamancipators, adamancipators, and you have this, your opponent has a Dragite, because it was the first one I saw. It has 0 attack, 2,000 defense, you spin no attack and defense, they're going to take 7,000 points of damage. There you go, that's why I run him. And last then, for this entire deck profile, so I've been rambling on, the last card I run in this is, of course, Fossil Warrior Skull King. My favourite fusion monster in this deck. Probably one of my favourite Fossil cards and one of my favourite fusion monsters as well. One, its artwork looks absolutely amazing. I think the artwork just looks beautiful. It takes a level 7 or higher monster. It doesn't have to be in your opponent's. So if you can get your Nibiru, for an example, in the graveyard, you can just use him. Just use your Nibiru if he's in the grave. He's useless there. You want him in your hand. But anyway, rambling. Must be special summoned by the effect of Fossil. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase. If this card attacks the defense, it inflicts piercing damage. It doesn't do that double like Skull, but Skull King does have a really cool effect of, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target one monster, your opponent's graveyard, discard a card, and if you do, special summon that monster to your side of the field. So it can stop your opponent using effects from the grave. If they're trying to get something back that they really need, you can just ditch a card, summon it to your side, yoink. You know, you can yeet a card if you want to say it that way. But yeah, that's why I run one copy of Fossil Warrior Skull King. I do actually have more copies, just in case I want to mix it around. But with that, that is my Adamancipator Fossil deck. That's how I run it. It's fun. I know a lot of people probably looking at it and look, oh, well, you need to run this. You don't have to run cards that people tell you. If you don't play full YCS standard meta game, you can just run a deck how you want. That's why I say I run this deck as I want to run it, because I like this deck. And that's why I thought I'd do a video on it, because I like it. And if people don't like it, comment down below why you don't like it. Comment down below if you think I should change it. You know, give this video a thumbs up if you did like the deck profile. If you think, yeah, well, he's standing up and saying you don't have to run a proper deck, leave this video a like. Subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be doing a lot more videos. I know I said I was going to be doing my folder, but I haven't had time to sort it out yet. So I thought I'd do this instead. But yeah, with that, that is this video. As I said, if you want to comment down below why you liked it, why you don't, feel free. If you want to leave it a like, leave it a like. But please subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more content from me. And with that, thank you very much for watching my video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.